My name's Tangcay from Awards Daily, and it is my. Wasn't that a great movie, first of all? So it's my pleasure to introduce. Trevor White, the director of the movie. Clifton Jr., who played Nathan. The story begins with you. Tell us how this happened for you.
So the lead actor.
Pass the mic. We only have one mic, so we're going to pass it along.
The lead actor, Rich Summer, who played Michael, is a longtime friend of mine. We go back like 25 years, and he came to me and said, "I think it would be fun to do to play a phony psychic medium who sort of gets caught up in his own lies." And that was kind of the kernel. And I asked him if I could write something like that, and he gave me his blessing, and so I went off and started beating out that story and kind of working with him off and on, and that's where it came from. Rich is obsessed with psychic mediums.
So Trevor, do you want to tell us how you got involved in the story and the backstory for you?
So Rich and I did a movie together in 2015 called LBJ, and we got close on the set in New Orleans, spent a couple months together, and while we were down there, Rich was telling me about a script that he and his buddy had been developing. And he was like, "Look, Trevor, if you can, just let me send it to you if you're okay with it, and just give me your notes, give me some feedback here." And then about a month and a half after we wrapped, Rich calls me and says, "So that script I told you about, you still willing to read it?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And at that point, I was just, you get a script from a friend who's an actor who you want to keep that relationship going. You're like, God, I hope it's like mildly decent so I can say nice things. And I remember reading like 20 pages, and I was like, holy shit, this is really good. And then I talked to my brother, who's my producing partner, and that night, and I said, Tim, you have to read this because I want to direct this thing. I want to produce it with you. I'm full steam ahead. And by the way, I was just presuming because I had no idea Andy and Rich would even entertain the idea of me directing it. So I called them the next morning, and then we met and chatted for a very long time, and we came together.
And Clifton, Nathan, what a character. What was your reaction when you read the script, and how did you get involved in the film?
You want to talk about how I got involved in the film?
No, you should.
I barely remember the phone call.
It was a Skype.
It was a Skype?
It was a Skype.
Oh, why don't you talk more about that? Clifton memory.
Well, it makes sense that Clifton wouldn't remember it.
Okay. I got a hold of the screenplay and I read it. It was just so intriguing. The idea of a psychic medium, just the whole backdrop was just fascinating to me, and I thought it was a great opportunity to delve into that world, albeit that wasn't really my world. I was more fascinated by it, so I'm believing in the reality of it. So it's a little different for me approaching it, but I had a couple questions, and I believe I ran all those notes by you, both of you, wasn't it? Yeah. It was this guy between the three of us?
Yeah.
It was Rich?
Yeah.
Rich later. Can't remember. It was a while. But yeah, it was engaging. So I was like, I have some questions, and if we can work this out, count me in. I'm very passionate about this one.
Did you do any research a psychic into the research field?
Again, it was just to be a believer for me. So there wasn't a whole lot for me I didn't have to like problem solve and figure out or find the holes in that world. I think my focus is more of Nathan's journey and the questions that arise around that world.
What's interesting about Clifton, I should say, is, and I'll never forget this, the first time I came to your house to work with you, I saw him pull out a script, and literally every page was just like thousands of notes and highlighted, and I looked at it and I was like, oh Jesus, this is gonna be brutal. Like, this is gonna be terrible. Like, he's gonna wanna rewrite the whole script. And then I quickly found out it wasn't that way at all. It was just that's the level that he thinks at as he's reading. He's making notes for himself, not about how to change the character, but how he would approach a certain, even as specific as a line and what he's thinking here. I mean, that level of detail I've never seen before. It was quite fascinating. I learned a lot.
And this is your second directorial movie. How did you learn from your first one, and what was your experience directing this film?
It's a hard question to kind of sum up quickly because there's a lot that you learn, and I was fortunate enough to have produced a number of films in between the two, and I feel like I actually learned more from producing a movie, producing several with different filmmakers and watching various approaches. There was just a lot I took in from that. And the biggest difference I think was on my first film. I was so young and inexperienced and wanted everything to be so specifically blocked out and prepared. And on this film, once I knew how good Clifton and Rich and Joanne were, it was like, it's gonna be amazing to just show up, have a very loose plan, and then recreate it in the moment to see how the blocking was gonna work out. So it was a much freer film for me. I way preferred it.
So let's talk about challenges. What were the challenges for each of you in this film? Should we start with
Andy, yeah.
Let's start with you. I'm trying to work one out. It's hard for me to think of any challenges because it was such like a dream experience in a lot of ways. Like, the crew was incredible. Trevor's such a collaborative director, and I just sort of assume that you hear stories about screenwriters not being welcome on the set because there's one general who's leading the army, but Trevor was like so collaborative and wanted me there, and we had like a really great sort of working relationship, and being best friends with the lead actor was really fun to sort of be part of that, and just getting to know everybody. Like it's hard for me to think of challenges. I mean, even like based on like the script that you initially read, there wasn't a lot of change. Like we added some things, fleshed out some character stuff, and so it wasn't even like a huge development process that we had to reinvent anything. It was just like, let's add more to what's already here. So it's hard for me to pinpoint a challenge, really.
It was one of the smoother independent film shoots, with the exceptions of losing a couple locations here and there because of the fires at the time. It was pretty smooth. I think for me the challenge was trying to find the humanity in Nathan, and I think there's a very real soul inside of him that's dying to atone for his past. But he's so inept and he's lacking so many tools that he can't even face the reality of what he really did and how he did it. So he's got to blur the lines a little bit just to live day to day. But again, like I think, as you were saying, it was just a very great collaboration, not just with Trevor, but also with the rest of the cast as well. So it was a lot of fun.
Going into the shoot, I thought the biggest challenge was going to be the Nathan character. No, pre-Clifton. Back in just talking about the character, we talked at length about how the scariest thing, I mean, if you had read the script, you'd realize that the whole movie hinged on Nathan, on whether or not you believe that he believes, right? That if you believe that this is a guy who goes to this length to atone, and if it's too funny and too kind of farcical, then we're not there. You lose the movie. And if you're too serious and too dark, then it can feel too heavy. So it was a very, and I don't know if we pulled it off, but it was the biggest challenge I think we did. And honestly, that was the biggest comfort in seeing the first time you read. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna work, I think. And then in terms of physical production, and a couple people here can definitely identify with these, but we had the fires were really terrible. We lost the bridge location. We had the greatest bridge ever. It was the location I was most excited about. It It was the shoot I was most excited about. We lost the bridge, scrambled to find this one. We shot at sunset, and the problem was the old bridge we were going to be able to shut down and control cars, and this one we couldn't. We needed it to be empty because Michael was going to be thinking of he needed it to be an empty space for him to possibly go and do something terrible. And cars just kept ripping through the scenes, and we were like, this is going to take forever. We shot the first half of the scene while the sun was out, and then we lost the sun over the mountains. So then we had to go back and reshoot a scene we had just shot. It was terrible. I mean, that was a terrible day. That was a tough one.
Worst, believe me.
And then the last one was, so one thing, many of you might not realize this, but we shot this movie in LA. And so the challenges there were the climax scene, where Jim is buried, is Elysian Park, right next to Dodger Stadium. And when we shot the climax, we didn't realize our location manager somehow managed to forget that Guns N' Roses was playing at Dodger Stadium that night, of which Clifton's like one of his best friends is Slash, and Cliff is like the whole night he's like, hey man, I want to grab a golf cart, I'm gonna head down, watch the number, and come back up. I was like, absolutely not, Clifton. Like, that did not happen. So those were the challenges.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna throw some questions out there to the audience. Does anybody have any questions? No question. No question. Okay, question, lady.
How did funding come together?
Did you hear the question at the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, so Jason Potash, one of the producers, is back there as well, and basically Jason and I had lunch one day, and I pitched him the script, and I told him about it, I sent it to him, he read it and loved it, and my company came in and brought in half, and Jason's company came in and brought in half, and that was how it came together, actually quite easily, which is rare. But we made this for very little, I mean, it's very small budget.
Do you want to talk about the shooting, like how many days you shot the film in?
We shot in 24 days, and had an amazing crew, which is how we pulled it off. Jackie is here, our production designer. She's amazing. And Frank Dewey, everybody's here. And Jason. Sorry if I'm missing anyone else, I didn't see anyone before, but